Stop. Yeah, to high ground, one way out, make up that ground. That's what leaving's all about. Get out, run fast, don't look, there's no way back. Back up and put it in the past. Yeah, get out, let go, get back to where you go. Take up the ground. That's what leaving's all about. Love's when you down. When your hands feel
Wow, that's incredible. Gary Barlow joins us now. I mean, that is epic. Dancing and singing around the dinosaur. This is going to be some spectacular show.
Oh, hey, good to see you both. How are you doing?
We're all
right. Nice to
Glad
see
to
you
see
too.
you.
Oh, it's nice. Hey, welcome to my new world of doing interview after interview from the same room,
I know.
using the same joke, the
Are you
same
slightly,
lies,
you're slightly
the
going
same
mad then, are
showbiz
you?
stories.
Is it getting to you a wee bit?
No, I'm loving it. It's actually great. It really is. You know what, it's just nice to be doing things and speaking to people, and I think that's the one thing that certainly most of my friends, we all talk about, is we miss seeing each other. So this has been a godsend, so I'm not going to complain at all.
Yeah, for sure. Now listen, this album that we were just looking at, the vinyl there, it's quite an incredible thing because you've kept people waiting for this second solo album of yours. It's been a long
years.
That's a long time. And it was the name that came first, wasn't it? It's called Music Played by Humans, and you had the name and thought, well, I'm going to have to make this an album.
Yeah, well, do you know what, guys? I do have another job. I'm in a group as well, and they're called Take That. And I spend a lot of time as a member of that group. However, from time to time, they have a break, and that's when I slip in these little solo albums. So that's why there's not been so many of them. But you're right, Holly. I came off tour last year. We did our big 30-year anniversary tour, and I came off and thought, what's next? And that title hit me, and I thought, right, I know what this needs to be: a record with more musicians than I've ever used in the past on any record. So it features orchestras, quartets, jazz bands, string. Great big string sections. Some days we had 60 people in a studio. Do you remember those times?
Wow.
They were all shoulder to shoulder. And thankfully for us, we finished recording all the big orchestras about 2 weeks before the first lockdown. So it was
it was meant to be.
Timing, is that? So, yeah. I mean, this is it's a lovely look. It's very warm, a very Christmassy and contemporary look at the classics. But it's based on the music that you fell in love with as a kid.
Well, do you know, I not really fell in love with it. It was just kind of on in our house. I didn't not like it, but my dad had a record player, and in amongst the Beatles and Elton John, there was these classics: Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. And I don't know what it is with us as kids. Things go in our system, and at some point in our lives, they decide to come out somewhere. And actually, I made this whole record, and it wasn't until about a month ago I remember listening through and thinking, wow, this was what was on in our house when I was kind of like 4 and 5. So it's incredible the way music works.
Well, you said you worked with lots of musicians on the album as well, but also lots of vocals, lots of well-known vocals. Barry Manilow, James Corden, Beverly Knight, who we had on earlier in the show, Alicia, who we saw just then. How do you go about picking? Because, I mean, we know from your sort of lockdown shows, the crooner sessions, that you have an extensive phone book of people to call on. So how do you whittle it down to choose who goes on the album?
Do you know what? Collaborations are the hardest thing, and they're usually done like with a record label deciding this person's big in this country, and it's usually a trade of that. And I wasn't having any of that on this record, and I decided to do a bit of a call out to mates. And so for me, it's like I've had the chance to, the people I love and the people I respect, they're all on this record. I mean, Michael Bublé's on there as well. I mean, it's been one of those things where I just wanted to enjoy every day going to the studio. And when someone tells you, hey, tomorrow you've got Beverly Knight in the afternoon, Now, what kind of
Yeah.
day is that going to be? It's only ever going to be good.
Yeah.
She is amazing. And also, of course, as we showed that clip, Night at the Museum, which is on Sunday at 9 on ITV. It's one of my favourite buildings in the world, the Natural History Museum. What a place to be able to do that.
Oh, I know. Do you know what? And I have to say, with all the challenges, it's been on, it's been off, and it's been a real fight to get this. But I have to say, the lovely people at ITV, we've all worked together, worked really hard. We've got a full orchestra in the Natural History Museum. We've got loads of guests. It's like an old school ITV hour of entertainment. There's some funny bits. Jack Whitehall's on there. We've got amazing guests: Jason Donovan, Rick Astley, Ronan Keating, Beverly Knight, Alicia Dixon. It's a brilliant show. Please tune in.
It does sound absolutely brilliant. I was reading something where you were saying, you don't have many regrets in your life and this amazing career that you've had, but the one thing you wish you'd done was back in the 90s to actually just enjoy life a little bit more.
Do you know what that is? I'm not a regretful person at all, but I spent most of the 90s worrying. I think, Philip, you know me quite well. It's just, I do take things very seriously. And I didn't enjoy it at all in the 90s. I just worried on a daily basis, oh, we're going to lose it. What happens if we're not number one next week? I just basically spent the whole time panicking and worrying. And I look back now and I wished I'd have enjoyed it a bit more. And luckily for us, we did get a second chance at this. And I have to tell you, I've enjoyed every single day. And making these records, it feels like a great privilege. And especially, I'm going to be 50 next year. So to be able to still make music, and I am.
That's unbelievable.
And what about Christmas then? Is it a sort of little family Christmas?
It is. We're going real simple. We're staying at home, family. It's going to be very relaxing. Lots of drink, lots of food. Very simple. Yeah.
It's lovely to see you.
It really is.
Thank you very much indeed
thank
for the chat. The album Music Played by Humans is out now, and Gary Barlow's Night at the Museum, as we've said, is Sunday at 9 on ITV. Love the family. Thank
Lots
you.
of love. Take care.
Thank you so much. Please look after yourselves.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye now.
Bye.
See ya.
Right, still to come, a second chance to win some Christmas